Hi everyone. Today Naomi will be on the podcast. Naomi is tutoring at Arise with us in the coming autumn term, and she'll be tutoring biology and co-tutoring with myself combined science. Naomi, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure, sure. Well, hi everyone. First of all, you can probably recognize from my accent that I'm not from Scotland. I'm from England originally. I grew up in the beautiful city of Bath, and grew up there until I was 18, and then I headed off to university. So decided to cross a border and went to South Wales, went to Swansea, and studied biology there. I met my husband at university, and we stayed there for a few years. I did my teacher training, and then after a couple of years of teaching in the UK, we were kind of ready for a new adventure. So we packed ourselves up and we headed off to Tanzania in East
Oh,
Africa. And we were there for 4 years. I was a teacher in an international school there. And we had a great time, honestly. Tanzania is a biologist's dream. The wildlife,
yeah.
all of it is just stunning. We were 2 hours from the Serengeti. We got to see chimpanzees, gorillas, you name it. We got to explore Africa. So we had a great time. And what was really special there was actually our community, our Christian community there. It was a small city that we lived in with quite a variety of different people from across the world in mission, in working in the hospital and things. But every Sunday we would get together, and we just had such a special bond and relationship that I think you get when you're living in a place that's not your home. And it really, they really were our family while we were there, and God really blessed us with friendships that still go on to this day. And then 4 years in Tanzania led us to be ready to move on again. We were heading a little bit closer to home, and we went to Romania. So from East Africa to Eastern Europe, to Bucharest. So I don't know if anyone's been there. It's a huge concrete city, like the opposite of Tanzania, to be
Yeah.
honest. And it was a big change for both of us, actually. I taught in an international school there as well, and my husband worked for a charity that works with blind and deaf people.
Oh,
Um, and we were there for 9 years. We were really heavily involved in our local international church, which was fantastic. Again, such a great mix of people from all over the world. Really, really special community. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of need in Bucharest. And so I was able to get involved in some homeless projects. When the war in Ukraine broke out, we got a lot of refugees. So
yeah.
the churches got together and did a lot of work for them. So it gave us a lot of opportunities to serve. And yeah, we were quite settled there, and then really quite happy to stay there. And then we just felt God prompting us and preparing us to move on and to actually move back to the UK, which was a bit of a surprise for us, which is where we are now. We are in the Angus Glens, not too far from there. My husband works for Guide Dogs UK, which is why we're here, of all places. But we love it. It's a huge shock going from a giant city to a small little Scottish town. But it's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
cannot complain at all.
It's
We
not.
love it here. And yeah, so I'm just filling my time, still doing some teaching, some online teaching, some tutoring. I work for an exam board and then involved in our local church. Me and my husband are both chaplains for the football teams here. So yeah, there's God's definitely brought us here for a reason. I feel like we're still discovering what that is. But yeah, we're excited, and I'm excited about this new opportunity to come alongside you guys as well.
That's exciting. I've not explored much of the Angus Glens, but I know they're very beautiful. They're
Oh,
lovely
absolutely
region.
beautiful. And even now, I think it's a bit of a cloudy day, but from our house, we can see across to the hills, and like there's just been snow on them for the last few months. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And then we've just got the coast sort of 10 miles down the road as well. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. Um, in talking to you, it's been lovely to hear your love, your passion for biology. How has biology impacted your faith?
It's a good question. Yeah, I love my subject. I can't lie, like I'm very passionate about it. I feel like God has just given me a huge appreciation for what he's created in his living world and the fact that we get to study that, the fact that he's given us brains that can comprehend, ask questions, and dig a bit deeper just adds to the amazement of it, to be honest. And I find that we're always learning something new. In the world of biology, there's always something new, a new species, a new like biochemical pathway. There's new applications we can use in the field of medicine, and there's all these things. And I think throughout all of it, we can lose sight of it all because we can get lost in the knowledge. But I think when you look at a cell, when you look down a microscope, when you look at how intricately everything works, it just points back to a creator. And so there's no other way of looking at it. And so when I look at creation, when I'm learning about something new, and sometimes even when I'm teaching, there's a moment where I'm just like, I have to stop and I'm like, this is incredible. Like how all of these things work together and how it's been put together by a God that knew it and the most
Yeah,
intelligent, most amazing God that we have that has given us this world, and we then get to experience it and learn a bit about it. And yes, there's so much that we don't know and so much we don't get, but it's just such a joy to be able to delve a bit deeper. And yeah, whenever I learn something new, it's a chance to stop and say thank you, God, and say, look, you've just shown me a little glimpse more of who you are and how amazing you are. And it's a joy to teach it too, because my hope is that I enthuse my students with a similar passion and a similar desire to discover more and learn more, and then again bring it back to God and just praise Him for what He's given us.
yeah. I totally agree. I find that particularly I love looking at things at a very little scale, like the cells or the microscopic single-celled organisms, and
Yeah,
the mind-blowing complexity of this microscopic world that
yeah,
is just,
it's yeah.
yeah, they're like perfect little machines.
That's exactly it, and the biochemical pathways that work, like just looking at leaves and how like they capture sunlight and then they
Yeah.
change that to chemical energy that then makes glucose that we then can like
Ah,
it's it's incredible.
it is. It absolutely is. I don't know if you've ever read the book Tinker at Pilgrim's Creek.
I have not, no.
It's an American lady. I think she lives Smoky Mountains. There's
Okay.
mountains near her, and she wrote this kind of neat, this almost like a journal of her just thoughts and ponderings of her just in nature on her doorstep, and she talks about how the little microscope. She's got a microscope, and she'll go and take some pond water and look at the
Hmm.
microscopic creatures there, but then tie it to the grandeur of the mountains and the distance, and it's all the interconnectedness and just there's one amazing bit where she's lying in bed and she's pondering the fact. So she flips from biology to philosophy to theology to
Uh-huh.
physics, and this it's just it's quite deep. And
Uh-huh.
so she's lying in bed thinking about how she's this little person lying in her bed whilst rotating on this planet that's orbiting the sun, which is then hurtling through the cosmos at
Yeah.
these mind-boggling speeds, and it's just I really recommend
Okay. I will
Pilgrim at
I will
Timbers Creek
I will
for all
take a
those
read of
things.
it. I think, and it just like, I think sometimes we just forget to slow down and stop and look and consider. And
Mhm.
like, we're just on the rush of every day, aren't we?
Yeah,
Like, getting through the day and whatever. And we've been given this wonder, like, that we just take for granted, which
mhm.
seems crazy until we stop and we just, one little thing, like you said, just like one little cell. And if you just look at that and slow down and think about how incredibly complex that is, and then you look at a human, which is just a whole different
Yeah,
level, and
yeah.
it's yeah. We need
The
to
in
stop and slow down, I think.
the interconnected of it all just it blows my mind. Just what
Yes.
yeah, walking about
It
looking at little plants or little. I think I've got this obsession with little things and big
Little
things.
things.
Little things and big things. Like I like going and looking at little bits of moss or little bits of
Yeah.
lichen and just the little things and
And it's life and it's
ah,
active and it's, but if it wasn't there, then there would be impacts as well. It's like you
yeah.
said, like the interrelatedness that it's not an accident that all of these things are working alongside each other. It's been so purposefully put there and created. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's so cool.
It is. Which brings us to another question because many Christian families worry about teaching biology. They are not confident in tackling issues like evolution, and they worry that science will have a negative effect on their faith, but also the faith of their kids. What would you say to families who feel that tension of wanting to engage in science but are worried?
Sure, I understand that, and I see the tension, and there are some hard questions. There's some hard things that don't necessarily always line up with the Bible and with our faith, and we feel like they rub against each other, which then leads to the desire to not even go there, to like
Mhm,
stay away from it. And I appreciate that. I think one thing that I think is abundantly clear, though, within the scientific community is historically how many scientists were Christians or came to faith because of
mhm,
what they studied. It's incredible that yeah, like even like deathbed confessions, where they're like there must be a God,
yeah,
and I think we've got to be brave not to shy away from the hard subjects. Um, as we know, even when we study the Bible, that you know different Christians are always going to interpret passages slightly differently. There's always going to be a scope of understanding, and topics like evolution might be hard for some people to fit within their understanding of creation and the Bible. And I understand that completely. But I think it's also really important that we equip our young people to to deal with these hard
mhm,
questions, to have a safe space where they can look at, okay, what is the scientific world saying? What does our faith say? What does the Bible say? And to have an open space to learn, to ask those questions, to
mhm,
share doubts and things like that. I think one of the most dangerous things is by closing that door and saying it's too hard to face that
mhm,
topic. We're just not going to talk about it. Because we want young, I was going to say, we want young people, we want all people to be educated and to have those skills to be able to critically analyze and come up with their own conclusions. We don't want little robots that are just taught one thing to act one way. We want them to be shaped by their faith, by the Lord, absolutely,
mhm,
but also to be relevant in our world. And we want Christians to go into science and to have a voice, I would say, within the scientific community. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is there are hard things to discuss within science that maybe we don't always agree with. And let's
mhm,
face it, scientists don't agree on things about evolution. As time goes on, new things, you know, get uncovered and there's more questions that get answered than get answered. But we have a God who is so much bigger. And I think sometimes when I have doubts, when I'm looking, I can bring it before him and I can look at who he is and I know the truths about him. And yes, I might not understand the little X, Y, and Z mechanism that this happened, but I know who he is and I know that he will reveal to us what we need to know. And I think it's about shaping young men and women of faith that are confident in their faith and in trusting the Creator God, but also able to engage in what the world
mhm,
is learning, is studying, and is able to weigh it up and say, yes, this doesn't quite fit, but I'm just going to appreciate it for what it is.
mhm,
And there are times when our viewpoints do change because, and we've got to be willing. I think one of the key things about being a Christian is being always teachable, always ready to admit that sometimes we've understood things in a wrong way, but the Lord can open up new pathways, whether that's a personal thing about our faith or even within the natural world. And I think it's just about equipping these young minds to appreciate what we've got, in light of our Lord as
Yeah.
well, and to be able to present both things to them. And I think that's a great opportunity within this to share these difficult topics, but in a safe way, framed by having an Almighty God who is he is in control. He has created it. He knows what happens and what happened, and we can trust him in that.
There's so much wisdom in that because I don't know. Agnes, who does our apologetics class, she started off doing a biology degree when she
Hmm.
was at university and first year university, so she's really young. And her first lecture, the lecturer asked, "Is anyone a Christian?" And she put up her hand, only person to put up her hand, and he completely tore into her. And he was like, today he would get,
Mm.
yeah, you just wouldn't be able to get away with doing this today. And he said, and basically by then, he said, by the end of this course, all that nonsense will be replaced. And it was just, it was, yeah, it was really rude and horrible. And like trended, a girl came up to her and said, "Oh, you're really brave. I'm a Christian too, but I wasn't brave enough to put my hand up." And it's that and other things have given has given her this passion to equip young people
Yeah,
with truth so they can defend their faith. But as you said, if we close the door, we're not going to be
yeah,
equipped. If you don't understand the biological framework, you can't talk to that. If somebody asks
no,
you if you and your faith is more easily knocked if you've
for
not
sure.
equipped.
For sure. And like sometimes you will hear, and it honestly, it makes me cringe sometimes where I hear Christians giving their argument for this, and I'm like, it doesn't stand up. Like, it doesn't stand up in the scientific, and you've lost credibility
Mhm,
within the scientific community for throwing these things out when actually, if you've entered in and understood some of the mechanisms and
mhm,
pathways, then actually yeah, it's about making everything accessible. Like I think whether that's God's word or teaching a lesson on respiration, it's about making it accessible for everyone,
mhm.
so that yeah, that they're informed and can then make informed decisions and yeah, share those thoughts with everyone else. But hey, it's one of the challenges of this world when everyone's they know everything and
Yeah,
then they're not open to anything new.
yeah,
Everyone's
that's
an
true in
expert,
very many
apparently.
fields. Yeah, yeah. As well as teaching, you're also an examiner. For folks who might not know what that means, can you explain it? And how does that affect how you teach?
Sure. Yeah. So I work for one of the international exam boards, primarily as a marker. So after each of the exams series, we're the lucky people that get to sit behind our computer screens and mark for many, many hours on end. And I'm also involved in a little bit of the moderation and even some of the question setting now, which is it's good fun actually. It gives me a deeper insight into students' understanding, which sounds like I should already know it after, teaching for 16 plus years. You know how your students respond to a question and things like that. But when you're marking hundreds of papers, you see misconceptions come up again and again and again that maybe you would have seen them once in your class and
Yeah.
put it aside, but it just makes you realize, yeah, how it really informs my teaching on, okay, how can I make this clearer? How can I help about the knowledge, but also about then the application to the exam,
Mhm.
because that's a huge part. Sadly, that's a
Yeah.
huge part. It's not just about understanding the topic, it's about then being able to answer a question in a way that the exam board is going to credit you with those marks. And so it really informs me in the way that I've been able to then
Mhm.
teach students and prepare them for exams, and hopefully, yeah, lead to a better attainment at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a good insight into how students answer
Yeah.
exams.
It's really interesting that you can see this big macro picture of the patterns of what, not that smaller scale of just the small sample set of your students, but that,
Mhm.
yeah,
For
that's
for
a
sure.
really interesting perspective.
And you kind of see because it's international, you don't obviously it's all anonymously marked,
Yeah.
so you don't see the centers, but you see patterns, and you're pretty sure that there are certain regions of the world where there's this way of thinking, and then others where it's this, and
Oh,
it is quite
that's
interesting
interesting.
to see the responses. And sometimes, having lived in Tanzania, I read one and I'm like, well, they live in East Africa. Just the way that the example they've given, the food
Yeah,
chain or something like that. I'm just like, well, a child from Birmingham would not have written that.
yeah. My friend's mum was a marker for the SQA. And
Hmm.
it's exactly in the summer holidays, she would get a black bin bag full of the papers delivered to her door and have to go through this black bin bag of papers. But now it's all on,
It's all online. There's
all
one paper.
online.
I mark one paper that's paper, which is it's a bit odd why that one's still paper and the others aren't, but it's quite nice actually to get your red pen out and do a bit of
Yeah,
marking as well. It saves you a bit of screen time.
yeah. I find that screen time marking can be tiring on the eyes.
Oh, for sure. I've just finished a 3 week session of it, and honestly, I was going slightly loopy by the end of it because
Yeah, yeah.
my eyes were just like
Yes, I do prefer marking on the paper, but
yeah. But it's I guess it's more environmentally friendly to upload it. I don't know actually
yeah,
on this
and it's
world of energy and online, but
and it I suppose it makes more sense in
it
shipping all these
streamlines it for sure.
boxes, but like boxes and boxes of papers all over the place, especially
Well,
for the
that's true as
international
well. The
ones.
fear of losing
Oh, I
one.
know. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had the most boring job ever as a student working for the SQA, Scottish Qualification
Mhm.
Association, having to go through papers and count the marks manually.
Ah, you're that person. Yep.
It
We get told there are people that do
it
that.
was mind-numbingly boring.
I can imagine. And I just know that maybe it's just me, but like the paper ones, I have to go back and add it up. Number of times I have to recount and recount again because, midway through, I'm just like, oh, did I count that one?
I think I was one day I was marking the same marker's batch, and their accuracy was getting less as the pile went down. I thought they've either been having a glass of wine or they're just done.
Oh dear,
Yeah,
yes.
I was not sad when that little
Yeah,
summer
no, I
job
can.
ended.
Yep, I.
Yeah,
You see, we always hear of these people adding things up. There
yeah.
you go. You're one of
I was one of them. I
them.
can't remember, it must have been about, I
It
think it was
can't
about
be a
19
lifelong
or
career,
something.
can it?
Can you tell us a little bit about the iGCSE biology?
Sure, yes. Okay, so it is a 2 year course, and it spans, I would say, quite a wide area of biology. I'm going to say this to start off with. The content in biology is always a lot more than the other sciences and most of the other subjects. So just to put that out there,
Mhm.
um, there is a lot of content to cover.
Yeah.
And when you look at the specification, you'll notice, especially if you're doing the other sciences, that biology just outweighs them all, basically. Um, but the aim of the course is to cover just like the fundamentals of biology and prepare you if in the future you want to delve in a little bit deeper at A level or beyond that, then that's what it's kind of preparing you for. But it starts off by looking at kind of classification and then sort of zooms in on mainly human body systems and plant systems. So we look at, yeah, digestion, the nervous system, excretion, those kind of topics. And then we will have a little look at some genetics and good old genetic crosses and have a think about inheritance and those kind of topics. And then we get to zoom out a little bit more and then look at ecosystems and environments. And then like well, I guess two sides, the impact of humans on the environment and how, let's face it, we've done an awful lot of damage, but
Mhm.
then also how we can undo some of that damage, so conservation,
Mhm.
and then kind of more like applications. And biology has obviously so many applications in the world, thinking about agriculture and medicine
Mhm.
and pharmacology, all of the areas. And so we'll look at a few different applications of biology. So yeah, it's quite a wide course. It requires students that like learning, I'm going to say, like uh, digging in a little bit deeper, but over quite a wide
Mhm.
area. There are practicals. It's a practical subject,
Yeah.
which obviously has some limitations when we're teaching like this. But where possible, I will be encouraging you for the students to try the experiment out
Mhm.
at home or an adapted version if
Yeah.
needed. But where it's not possible, then we will do some virtual experiments. The wonderful world of YouTube has got all of the practicals on there, so you can watch someone doing the
Mhm.
experiment in a lab and then we can talk it through as well. But there's definitely a practical aspect to the course, not that you have to have carried out the experiments, but understand like the limitations
Mhm.
and the importance of collecting accurate, reliable data and how you then treat that data and things like that. So it's got a little bit of maths tucked
A
in
little
there
bit of math
as
skills.
well, but not too much. Out of all the sciences, definitely the lowest on maths. So if you're not a maths fan, don't let that put you off.
Yes. I think with science, you know science, you're not go you there's no way of escaping a bit of maths.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no statistics, though. You have to wait a little bit later on for statistics in biology, but yeah, and definitely graph drawing skills and those kind of skills as well are needed.
Yeah. So the kind
Yeah,
of your basic, the stuff you will be doing, kind of pre-IGCSE level math stuff is going to be needed for this.
for sure. For sure, yes.
Um, Also co-teaching combined science IGCSE with myself. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm doing just a tiny little bit of physics. Naomi, you're
Sure.
taking the
So
bulk
yes,
of
so
it.
I will be covering the biology and chemistry aspects of the course. So it's worth one GCSE. So again, a 2-year course, one GCSE at the end of it. But instead of having to pick one of the three sciences, it gives you that overview of all three sciences. So you'll do a little bit of each of the three disciplines. And yes, we'll be sharing the class throughout the 2 years that we're teaching it. And again, it's a similar thing. So like some of the topics I mentioned in biology will come up, but maybe less of them or in less depth.
Mhm.
And then chemistry, we'll be looking at, I need to properly have a little look through the spec, but some organic and inorganic chemistry, the periodic table trends and patterns. But again, because it's just one GCSE for all three sciences, there's a
Yeah.
lesser content for that one as well. But I think it should be
Yeah.
it's a good course if you're not really sure you want to do some science, but you're not really sure which route to go down.
Mhm.
I think it's a really good idea to get a foundation of all three with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a
It's
good
also a good course if you just need a science. You think,
and
I need
that
a
as
science.
well.
And again, I don't know again, you don't know which one you want to do. And like the combined science is a good, it gives you a little, it actually gives you a really good foundation on all three.
Absolutely.
It's heaviest on the biology, and then the chemistry is less content and not so deep as the IGCSE.
Yeah,
And the physics again is even less. There's less physics to the chemistry, and it's less content, and again not as deep. But there's a bit more maths with that comes with the physics.
sure.
That's a
Yeah.
bit more maths heavy.
And I think honestly, as a science, as a scientist, I think, to finish school without having a qualification in science makes me sad, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even if you're not interested and knowing that you're gonna,
Hmm.
use it later on in life, just the basic foundational skills
Hmm.
and understanding that it gives you, is going to be useful. I really think it is, and it just makes you more aware of what's going on in the world. And so when you see these headlines about things linked to science, you can critically look at them and go,
Yeah.
not sure about that, or
Mhm.
yes, that's something. And so, yeah, I think if you're not sure about which path, or also if you're not ultra, sciencey, wanting to do all three separate GCSEs, which is a huge undertaking, I think, unless you're really sure that that's kind of the path you want,
Mhm.
then yeah, it's a good way of getting a good solid foundation in science for sure.
Absolutely agree that everybody should be doing
I'm
some science.
horrified when people don't.
Uh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. But on a completely practical note, if you look on any university course or job application, apprenticeship, anything, I'm not saying every single one, but nearly everyone you look at will want you to have at iGCSE, GCSE level a science
Yes,
pass.
yes,
Um, Even if it's nothing to do with science, they all will ask for that. They'll want you to have a maths, they want you to have your English, and they'll want you to have a
yes,
science. And so picking one is just it makes absolute logical sense. So if you absolutely despise maths, you need a science, you need a science. Biology's a good place to go. It's got the least amount. Or if you just, I don't even know if I really want to do 2 years of biology, combine science. It gives you a little bit of everything.
yeah.
And you never know, you might find a new love.
Exactly, exactly. But it's the skills as well, isn't
It
it?
is
Other
the
than
skills.
just,
Yeah.
well, probably is mainly the skills actually that it gives you, other than learning, you
Yeah.
know, the reactivity series or something like that. But it's the skills that you can then take from that,
Uh-huh.
for sure. So no, definitely.
Absolutely. There is, yeah, you've got the skills, but also what you just said about being able to look at something happening in the world and be able to understand what that's about because you've got that basic scientific knowledge, or to shore up yourself against some of the stranger things that are come out of the internet with
For
regard to
sure.
science.
Oh my goodness, yeah. In a
Yeah.
world of just absolute rubbish coming out, you need to have in all areas of education,
Yeah.
like just that critical thinking to go, nope, this is not correct.
Yeah.
Also then to know when to go, you know what, I don't think this is right. This is how I'm going to find out, and delve a little bit deeper. Because yeah, we're in a bit of a crazy world.
We are indeed. On that note, um, Naomi, it's been a joy speaking to you about science. I always love it. Anyone wants to come talk to me about science, it's great fun. Um, Down below, I'll link to Naomi's classes, and if you've got any questions about biology or combined science, drop us an email, and we can well, some of the combined science I might answer, but I can pass them on to Naomi.
Sure,
Thank you so
sure.
much for your time,
Thank
Naomi.
you. Lovely to chat.